Identifying.
The king of cakes. Chopper for the win.
G'day guys, welcome back to Cakes by Chopper. Today we have Rarity from the My Little Pony series. I think she turned out very cute. What you're going to do is start by leveling off your cake, placing the template on top of your cake, and then using a sharp serrated knife, you're going to keep it vertical, go all the way around your template, and be sure to cut through to the bottom so you got nice clean edges. And once that's done, you're going to take your snazzy spatula and cover it with a buttercream, making sure you go all across the top and around the edges and in all the little nooks and crannies. Now you can use frosting or buttercream for this and flavour it in any way you like. It's personal preference. Once it's all covered up and you're happy with it, set it aside and get ready to roll out your fondant. To avoid rolling out as much as I did, you can cut the parchment paper to the size of the cake. Just make sure you leave enough to go around the edge and for it to cover your sides. Let the fondant fall down and then put the template back on top, and you can push in the shape with your finger. Just do it gently, you don't want to tear your fondant. And once you're happy with that, you can cut the excess fondant away. And then you're going to trim off the stuff that's touched the buttercream and keep the clean fondant to re-roll for the eyes and the horn. Clean up your cake board because you don't want any little side smudges or messes along the edge. This is a very important little tip. Now when you're cutting out her eyes, I ignored her eyelid, and you'll see why later on. I just cut out the eyeball itself. We'll come back to that in a minute. But once you've cut out the eyeballs, mark out on the cake where you want them to sit, and then go over and lightly push in. These are just guidelines of where the hair will fall and her face shape. Okay, now we're back to the eyeballs. We're going to cut out a bit of parchment paper and then place the eye on top, trim it away so you've got the right shape. I left the paper on top, but you want to be careful and just check it every now and then because it can tend to stick, which you do not want. And also when you place them on the parchment paper, sit them how they're going to go on the cake so you don't get them jumbled up and sitting the wrong way. Now use a little bit of excess fondant to shape out the unicorn horn and put it on top of the template to get the right size and dimension. And then just sit this with the eye, and you can come back to that later. Once again, I use the back of a paintbrush for this bit and mark out where the eyeball would sit in the eyes, then painting on with some gel dye. You can use liquid dyes. It's just food colouring. I find the gel dries quicker on the fondant. And just using the template eyeball as a guide. I wasn't quite happy with how the eyes were painted, and I ended up changing them at the end. So once they're on the cake, you can see it'll look a little bit derpy. If you don't like the look of it, just change them to what suits your cake best. Okay, now using a little bit of water to apply the eyes so they don't slide off when moving. Now here's where I was talking about the eyelids. I painted the eyelids on, and then when I do the eyelashes, I can just keep going and it doesn't stop and there's no dip. I just thought that was an easier way to do the eyelashes, and it created a lot less hassle in the long run. Now following your guidelines, just paint in her jawline, her ear and the nose. And then you can pop in the ear detail and the nostril. Just try and keep your lines as even as possible. Then you're going to pipe around the edge and finish off the bottom border. And then I used a flat nozzle to pipe the detail of the hair. I just kept working with this until I was happy that it looked like flowing hair for her. And just go from the black line, work your way out in the same direction. And if you're intimidated by piping and you're not very confident with it, you can always roll out the colour hair you want in fondant and use the template to cut out the hair and just place it on. But I urge you to try it this way. It's something that you can't really mess up. Just keep going around until you're happy with it, because you can always just do another line and then use a toothpick to smooth it out and give it more detailed lines. I just used the paintbrush and then give it a quick rinse off, and this left enough dye on the thing to put in the light purple diamonds. Then to finish off with the tail, I put the black line for her backside, and then whatever was left of the buttercream I just made come off as a flowing horsetail. And that's pretty much it. Paint on the details of the unicorn's horn, outline the diamonds, place it on, and you are done. This is the correction of her eyes. I wasn't quite happy with them, so I just rolled out a little bit of fondant, cut the circles and placed them on top, and I was much happier with how this looked. So there you guys have it. It's Rarity from My Little Pony. Thanks again for watching my videos, and I'll see you next Friday.